Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be somewhat of a reinforcement, a word of encouragement, some information to those of you who are about to basically experience that final discard or who have recently experienced it. And you're in a no contact phase. You may be on your day one, or things are about to hit the fan and it's about to be that day one. I want to get you prepared for this emotionally and psychologically so that you'll go into this situation with realistic expectations. And I highly recommend that you view my video long-term victories versus short-term discomforts, because you're about to embark on some major discomforts. You have had discomforts throughout the relationship, as you were being abused, used, mistreated, and disrespected. But it's going to intensify with this final discard or this breakup of the relationship. Because chances are, yes, you are dealing with some enmeshment, some trauma bonding, some abandonment issues, some rejection issues. Chances are you are usually in a broken state where your self-esteem is probably hit rock bottom right now. As the narcissist, you may have entered the relationship with low self-esteem, but it's gotten that much lower, of course, being around this negative energy that has been grooming you all along to push you down further and further, to make you weaker and more susceptible for their drama and their abuse. Okay, they basically been mind fucking you this whole time and trying to twist your mind up so that you would feel less than, so that you would feel like, what they were dishing out to you is normal, that you would settle, that you would somehow feel like there was some love sprinkled in there, that the narcissist cared about you, of course, when they're doing this hot and cold during the quote-unquote love bomb stage. And I don't even really like calling it the love bomb stage, because there's no love. There's no love involved in it. What you have here is a person pretending, like a con artist, a manipulative con artist, that they care about you. What you have is a person that's future faking you. What you have is a person that's really going through the motions. What you have is a person that's really focused on what you can do for them and not you as a person, and certainly not your feelings, not your heart, and not the quote-unquote love that you were giving them as well. The love, the care, the respect, the loyalty, the honesty. It's all a one-way street. They want all of that from you, and they're certainly not going to give that back in return, because they don't want you to have the upper hand. Why would they be honest with you and give you information that you could use to counter them? And then, if you know these things, you would leave them. You wouldn't accept it more than likely. But then there are some of you out there that have gotten so broken and so damaged through the repeated cycle of abuse, and usually someone that has been in this throughout the years and that has had it deep rooted from their childhood, that you will tolerate the abuse almost no matter how low down, dirty and nasty and disrespectful and degrading it gets. You end up staying no matter how many times he or she cheated on you, no matter how many times they gave you an STD, no matter how many children they had outside of your relationship. And that's just in a romantic setting. And then there's those of you that will stay just out of feeling obligated because it's a family member. It's my mom, it's my dad. So, you're basically letting that be the reason to accept a lifetime of abuse. And you may rationalize it out as saying, okay, you know what, one day they'll die and I'll be free. And you're just waiting for that day to come. And in the meanwhile, you're being the sacrificial lamb. And I made a video on that. And I actually believe I did title it "To Stop Being the Sacrificial Lamb." And I encourage, if you have that issue, that you go ahead and view that video. But guys, I don't want you to mistaken how you will realistically feel more than not when you end this relationship with the narcissist? Typically, you're going to go through some type of withdrawal, even though you knew this relationship was not good for you. You're breaking a toxic cycle that you were addicted to. So anything that you're addicted to, whether it's good for you or not, first of all, if you're addicted to it, that means there's an excess, there's an imbalance. So even if it's good for you, you have an imbalance with it. Okay, and then that makes it unhealthy. Okay, and this is just generally speaking here. So anything that you're addicted to and you remove it from yourself, you're going to have a reaction to that. You're going to have a reaction to that, guys. It's not going to feel pleasant. Ask anyone that's decided to stop smoking cigarettes and go cold turkey, or an alcoholic that is, now suddenly without the alcohol, or a crackhead that's not able to get that high anymore. Anyone that's addicted to popping pills. If someone that has a food addiction that suddenly now their whole eating lifestyle has to be the opposite. Or maybe they're put in a situation where, they can't swallow food. This is going to affect someone that had an addiction. Okay? And the only way to gain some comfort when we're breaking the addictions is to allow time to help you feel better and start replacing that addiction with something else. But you, chances are going to be feeling very crappy early on, in the very earliest stages of breaking away from the narcissist, because you're realizing so much. You're wrapping your mind around all of the abuse that you suffer, and it's always more than what initially met your eyes. The further you get away from the situation, the more you're going to actually start realizing how deep the rabbit hole went in the abuse that you were suffering in that relationship. But it takes time away. And that's why you can't truly start healing from the narcissist until you put some space and distance between you and the narcissist and have gone that no contact. Okay? You're going to go through a grieving process, similarly to like when there's a death. Yeah, you're going to feel all of those feelings. Anger. You're going to feel denial. You're going to feel all those feelings. You might even actually feel shame and guilt. You're going to feel a whole smorgasbord type of feelings. And then some of you actually may be in a situation where you prolonged the discard, or the final discard came so after the fact, and you've been actually learning about things that when you finally break away, that you've emotionally detached a lot from the person. Just ask this to anyone that's been separated and finally filed divorce, and the divorce is final now, but you've been emotionally detached from this person, and you might have a similar feeling. Sometimes that happens as well, and you're not feeling as crappy as the other person, but that's because you already kind of went through those stages already. And your mind was prepared for this detachment, and the detachment kind of already occurred. But for the most of you, for the bulk of people, you're going to feel horrible, basically. Because you're going to feel used, you're going to feel abused, you're going to feel disrespected. You're going to think about all the time and effort that you put into this fruitless situation, how this person never reciprocated with you. And you might even feel like your heart is breaking. For those of you that are now going through a divorce, or you've had children and the narcissist doesn't love the child, will never put that child first, and chances are is very irresponsible on top of that. So it's like even the money part of the situation ain't even going to be right. So I don't want us to have this fantasy of, everything feeling peachy right away. Chances are it's not going to be that way for you. But for those of you who decided to go ahead and end the cycle of abuse and discard the narcissist yourself, yes, you took your power by doing that, and you should feel empowered by that. And you may not feel it initially, because the narcissist will find a way to emasculate the situation, meaning, you tell them you don't want to be with them, and they'll act like they'll really try to make you, they'll go above and beyond to be as icy and cold as possible to make you feel and realize, hey, you didn't mean nothing to me anyway. Like, I'm glad you lifted that burden off of me. I'm glad you're the one to do it. They will go out of the way to try to do that to you, but you have to be prepared for that because you know what you're dealing with. But the narcissist is true. They never cared about you anyway. They were just riding the wave until it crashed. They were taking what they could from you until they couldn't anymore. They were going to manipulate you until you wised up. That's really all it was. And it's hard for some of you to wrap your minds around that, because you went far with them, or you believe you did, as far as technically, like, yeah, we got married. But marriage to them is not what marriage is to you. Marriage to them is just locking in somebody that does things for them, locking them down to be able to force them to do things and dangle the fact that you're my wife, you're my husband over your head to get it done. To them, it could be locking in some future monies, alimony, locking in, any type of gain, a house. Because they'll typically fight you tooth and nail for things. But it's a purge, guys. I consider it like a purge, a cleansing, a renewal. It's kind of like dying to be reborn again. This whole process. So the discomfort, the unpleasantness that you're feeling in the beginning is because you're breaking a toxic behavior that you got into a comfort zone with. You may not have liked what was going on with the narcissist, but you got acclimated to it and you got comfortable with it. It's familiar, and it's the devil that you know. And once you step out of it, yes, that might make you feel uncertain. Change is typically very difficult for most people. For most people, change is challenging to embrace and accept. We are creatures of habits, even if they're bad ones. So when you break it, it's not going to feel very good at first. But just know that it gets better in time. You just have to pay your dues right now and go through this purging, go through this cleansing, go through this renewal of your mind. And now is the time for you to turn inward and put into yourself more than you ever have in your life. Because if you don't, you can be subjected to some pretty serious depression, and it could swallow you down. It could even get you suicidal. So please, guys, build up your support system. Any real friends or family that you have in your life, get yourself into some type of therapy or counseling. I offer coaching if you want to go through me. You need to have lots and lots of support in your life. If you believe in a God, now is the time to pray harder. Pray and meditate. If you don't believe in God, you can start. You can start. As long as you have breath in your body, it is never too late to call on God and lay your burdens on Him and ask Him to give you that peace. To ask Him to keep His arms around you during this process. You need that. Exercise, guys. Go ahead and release those feel-good endorphins through exercising. When you don't feel like getting out of bed, sometimes we get depressed, we go through a horrible breakup and we don't want to do much. We don't want to take care of ourselves. We don't want to take a shower. We may not want to eat. Some of you might be emotional eaters and you want to overeat. We have to be mindful, guys, because right now you're going to be triggered. And figure out what your triggers are post the relationship, things that went on between you and the narcissist. Now isn't the time probably to be watching these romantic love stories. Now isn't the time to be listening to sad love songs, guys. Try to keep yourself upbeat. Get yourself around some comedy. Do things that make you happy. The narcissists, they usually have you in a jail. You're giving your everything to them and you're not putting anything into yourself. Now you can do what you want to do. Now you can get into the things that you want without feeling like you have to explain yourself or justify it to someone who just wants to come in between it just because you like it and you love it and it makes you happy. And they don't want to see you happy. They want you to be miserable. Because misery does love company. It does. They want to see you fall apart. They want to see you fall apart. They want you begging for them to come back. And they may or may not if you do that. Only to punish you and dump you even harder. Trust and believe. Do not reopen that door. Love will not be waiting there. It never was, never will be. We just have to allow ourselves to go through the process. I have been there. I have been there twice. 2 very good times. With the worst narcissist in my life. And I've been there, crying in the middle of the night, shaking, going through panic attacks. I have gone through that whole purge and I am totally cleansed now. Thank God. And I'm stronger than I've ever been in my whole life. And you will get there too, one step at a time, one day at a time. If you've been with this narcissist for years, your chances are you're not going to just be doing cartwheels on the first day of the breakup. We're talking about years of abuse here. Years of abuse. All kinds of abuse. Mental, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual, financial. Okay? You have to really digest these things in a healthy manner so that you can really put it behind you and move forward. But that will be a process, guys. It is a process. So I just wanted to give you guys some realistic expectations. Okay? Because I don't want you to be caught off guard or blindsided. The narcissists, they're going to show their behinds even harder now. You know, they might start smear campaigns, you know. You might see them pop up with a new lover to rub that in your face, of course. They'll do anything. If they had any type of financial control in your life or you relied on them financially in any type of way, they will try to withhold that from you any way that they can. You know, if they gave you a car, anything they gave you, they'll try to take it back if it's not in your name. If you're living with them and you're not on the lease or you're not on the mortgage, you know, of course they want to see you homeless and down and out and hope you have nowhere else to go or no money to support yourself. So you can always do things, you know, plan out your leaving from the narcissist. Plan it out if you can. There's times where you just can't, and that's when typically there's physical violence. I mean, you can't stay there and let someone kill you because you don't have a perfect plan for your escape. Sometimes you just gotta go. because it ain't worth losing your life or, getting a severe injury that you'll have to live with for a lifetime. But, I just wanted to make this plug. There are places to go, particularly for you women out there. If it's a domestic violence situation, there are safe houses that you can go to. They won't force you to press charges or anything like that. They just want you to be safe and away from the situation, and they will help you get on your feet. Even if you have children, they will take you and your children with the clothes on your back. And they are connected to all types of resources that will help you get back on your feet, help you and your children find stability. All right, never feel like you are stuck in a situation if you don't have family and friends, because I never had a bunch of support in my life, and I still don't. It's always typically is me and God, me and God. But that has always been enough for me. He will work through strangers. He will work through strangers. And you will be amazed if you put your faith and your trust in Him, what He will deliver you from, what He will remove you from, what He will keep you safe from. And you'll look back and you'll know that it was His hand and His will carrying you and covering you the whole time. When you didn't know how you were going to feed your children, where you were going to sleep that night, how you were going to do this, how you were going to do that. Shoot, I left a situation pregnant with twins, with 4 children. And He delivered me through that whole situation. He kept me covered, and my girls had everything they needed when they were born. Everything. And He worked through strangers. All right, guys, so you can do this. It's not going to feel good at first. You are healing from abuse. You are healing from being tormented. It's going to take some time. Okay, guys, feel free to reach out for me for coaching. If you're interested in that, I do it via the phone, internet, and Skype. I have books online that help with toxic relationships. And actually, I also wrote a book to help for those who have been sexually assaulted. That's called Silent Tears. It's available on Barnes & Noble. It's available on Amazon.com. And I have the X Factor Poetry Edition Volume 1 and 2. And that's also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. That deals with breakups. Read them in order, Volume 1 and then Volume 2. The books are amazing, and they will help you through this journey. What else did I want to say here? If you haven't done so already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I upload videos quite frequently. Okay. Make sure you guys are hitting the bell. Even if you already have subscribed, hit the bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new content. Okay, guys? If you have video suggestions, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section. I do read all my comments, and I try to, acknowledge everyone that I can. And then sometimes I'll even, I'll go ahead and make the video if I feel like it's video worthy. I have a Facebook support group. You will see Lakia Crawford, and the middle name will be Reflection and Progression. I will leave that in the description if you want to join the Facebook group, but please inbox me and just let me know that you're a survivor, because I have about 500 requests right now, but I know some of them are just random people, okay? And I want to make sure that I'm letting survivors through only, okay? And with that being said, guys, it will get easier with time. It will get easier with time. Just be gentle with yourself and be patient, and do not second guess yourself. Do not start doubting whether you should have left someone that doesn't love you, that never will love you, that doesn't care for you, that never will care for you, that doesn't respect you, that never will respect you, that manipulated you and only used you. Never second guess that, no matter how bad it feels to separate from them initially. The soul ties as well, because some of you are sexually bound with that narcissist at first, because you have a soul tie that needs to be broken. There are lots of videos on soul ties on YouTube. Go ahead and search those and begin to work on it. But distance and prayer. Distance and prayer. Because the prayer is asking God to cleanse you and to remove that attachment. Okay? And as you're putting that distance between you and that narcissist, your brain is chemically getting used to not having all of those highs and lows anymore. It still remembers it now, but it's getting used to not having it. And you will find in time that you're not craving this narcissist, you're not second guessing things, you start feeling better and stronger, and you'll look back and see how far you've come, how much stronger and wiser you are, and how that whole situation just transitioned you into a better you. Okay, guys? I hope that this message helps someone. Hang in there. Hang in there. You're going to have to feel that burn. But I am proud of you for standing up for yourself, for demonstrating that self-love and doing what you have to do for you, because you deserve better, and you will get better now. All right? Until next time, guys, take care.